Cinema is considered one of the most powerful tools of storytelling. Of course, for a successful cinematic work to emerge, many elements that enrich this narrative must come together. One of the most important of these elements, in my opinion, is undoubtedly the use of works of art in cinema. In this video, I will talk to you about the fascinating intersection of cinema and art, especially the impact of artworks used in cinema on films. Have a good time. The inclusion of a work of art in a movie is not just a visual embellishment for that movie. The deeper meanings, symbolism, and emotional context of that work are borrowed by the movie. This use allows films to become a source of education and inspiration, rather than just a means of entertainment. In sum, the use of works of art in cinema enriches films visually and emotionally, and also creates a cultural dialogue. This means that cinema combines different branches of art to create a rich cultural mosaic. This shows that cinema is not only a storytelling medium, but also a carrier of cultural heritage. From time to time, movies use famous paintings in various ways to offer a visual richness to the audience. These paintings are usually chosen to enrich the atmosphere of the film, to reflect the emotional states of the characters, or to add depth to the story with a specific artistic reference. I will share some examples with you now. Our first painting is from the 2006 movie The Da Vinci Code, Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting The Last Supper. The Last Supper is a famous Christian mural by Leonardo da Vinci depicting the Last Supper of Jesus with his disciples. The painting is a central element in the movie The Da Vinci Code, based on the novel by Dan Brown. In the movie, the painting functions not only as a work of art, but also as a key clue to unravel the mysteries of the story. In the Da Vinci Code, the painting of the Last Supper holds mysteries about the arrangement of Jesus and his disciples. As Robert Langdon and Sophie Neveu, the protagonists of the movie, examine the painting, they develop the theory that the person sitting on the right of Jesus is actually a woman, Marie Magdalene, which offers an alternative perspective to Christian mythology. The order of Da Vinci's work and the positions of the characters are the subject of important symbolic interpretations in the film. In particular, it is argued that the V space between Jesus and the person next to him symbolizes the female principle, or sacred femininity. The film explores the idea that works of art, such as The Last Supper, can carry timeless messages and play a role in rewriting history. The film emphasizes that Da Vinci's works are important not only for their aesthetic value, but also for the knowledge they convey. It also shows how art can have multi-layered meanings and how a work of art can be open to various interpretations. Our next painting is from Akira Kurosawa's 1990 film Dreams, Wheatfield with Crows. Vincent van Gogh's Wheatfield with Crows is one of his most famous and influential works. Painted in July 1890, in the last days of Van Gogh's life, it is generally considered to be his last major work. The work is characterized by dynamic and intense emotional expression. The dramatic clouds in the sky, the vivid blue tones, and the flock of crows in the fringe give the work a restless energy and an intense emotional charge. The painting often reflects Van Gogh's mood and inner conflicts at the time. The crows, according to some interpretations, symbolize death or bad omens, while the wheat field represents rebirth and the continuation of life. The painting's composition, depth, and use of color leave a strong impression on people. In Akira Kurosawa's movie Dreams, the painting is featured in the episode titled Crows. The character in the film literally enters Van Gogh's paintings and experiences the artist's work and world, wandering among wheat fields, the sky, and crows. In these scenes, Kurosawa presents a cinematic interpretation of Van Gogh's art. The recreation of Wheatfield with Crows functions in the film as a visual representation of Van Gogh's art and mood. Kurosawa uses the visual elements of the painting to convey Van Gogh's emotional and spiritual world through cinema. The use of the work in the film gives the audience an in-depth look into the artist's inner world, his feelings and his relationship with nature. The film presents an interpretation that underlines the dramatic and emotional aspects of this painting, thus expressing Van Gogh's personal and emotional connection to his art in a cinematic language. In this context, this use of dreams is an example of how works of art can take on new meanings and interpretations through film. Our next painting is featured in the 2003 film Girl with a Pearl Earring, starring Scarlett Johansson. The painting is the title of the movie. Girl with a Pearl Earring was painted by Johannes Vermeer around 1665 and is typical of the Baroque period. It is considered one of Vermeer's most famous works and is often referred to as the Mona Lisa of the Netherlands. It depicts a portrait of a young girl with her head slightly turned and looking directly at the viewer, wearing a striking large pearl earring in her ear. Among the most striking features of the painting are the colors used, the play of light, and the depth of the character's facial expression. The movie presents the process of the creation of this famous painting to the audience. It centers on a young girl named Griet, who starts working in Vermeer's workshop and becomes the model of this famous work by attracting the artist's attention over time. The film dramatically shows how the painting was created, the artist's creative process, and the artistic details behind the work. These examples show how artworks can be used effectively in motion pictures. Films use paintings not only as props, but also as a tool for storytelling and character development. There are also movie scenes that do not show paintings directly, but refer to a particular painting. For example, in the movie Shutter Island, which is one of my favorite movies and which I will definitely review on my channel, the following scene refers to the painting The Kiss, or rather Der Kuss with its original German name. It is a famous painting painted by the Austrian symbolist painter Gustav Klimt between 1907 and 1908. It was created during Klimt's so-called Golden Period and is considered one of his most iconic works. In Lars von Trier's Melancholia, there are many references to works of art throughout the movie, and one of the most striking is the reference to John Everett Millais' Ophelia. Ophelia depicts the death of the character Ophelia in William Shakespeare's play Hamlet as she lies in a streambed. In the movie Melancholia, this reference is made with the scene in which the character Justine is shown lying in a puddle in the garden on her wedding night. Justine's scene is shot in a composition directly reminiscent of Millais' painting Ophelia. This scene symbolizes Justine's inner breakdown and her struggle with depression. It is also linked to the theme of the movie, the sense of impending apocalypse of the end of the world, and is one of the most powerful visual images in the film. In one of Stanley Kubrick's great films, A Clockwork Orange, Vincent van Gogh's painting Circle of Prisoners is referenced. This painting was painted by Van Gogh during his stay at the San Remi mental hospital and shows a group of prisoners walking in a circular courtyard. The painting powerfully conveys feelings of isolation and helplessness. The reference in the movie occurs in scenes where Alex is in prison. As Alex walks through the prison corridors with the other prisoners, this scene is reminiscent of the circular walk of the prisoners in Van Gogh's painting. This visual parallel emphasizes the themes of the restriction of Alex's freedom and the suppression of his individuality. With this reference, Kubrick increases the emotional depth of the character's situation and criticizes the dystopian society in the film. Another legendary film, The Truman Show, references René Magritte's architecture and moonlight in the staircase scene where the character Truman climbs. The final scene of the movie, The Truman Show, represents the moment when Truman reaches the limits of the artificial world and decides to step into the real world. This scene is a visual reference to Magritte's L'Empire des Lumières series, which combines the sky during the day and the landscape under a street lamp at night. This blurs the boundaries between reality and illusion. This moment in the film, like Magritte's paintings, makes the viewer question their perception of reality and emphasizes how different the artificial world constructed throughout the film is from the real world. In the 2006 film Pan's Labyrinth, another exquisite film, the scene in which the creature devours the head of one of the fairies is a reference to one of Spanish painter Francisco Goya's most famous and disturbing works, Saturn devouring his son. The work depicts Saturn, a figure from Roman mythology. According to legend, Saturn ate his own children as soon as they were born because of the prophecy that they would dethrone him. Goya's painting is a dark and eerie interpretation of this mythological story. It's a very appropriate artistic reference for a very violent movie like Pan's Labyrinth. The use of artworks in cinema not only adds visual richness to the films, but also layers of meaning and depth to the stories. As we can see, this interplay between art and cinema not only presents the viewer with a story, but also conveys a cultural heritage and deep emotional and intellectual contexts. The examples I have discussed in this video show us how various directors have effectively used their works, and how these works of art have taken on new meanings within the films. I hope this video has given you new perspectives on this fascinating intersection of cinema and art, and helped you to become more aware of the use of artworks in film.